There's a pattern in history that most people never notice. Over the last 500 years, the most powerful nations on Earth didn't fall because they were conquered. They didn't collapse because they were weak. They collapsed because they followed the same sequence of decisions, step by step, until the system broke under its own weight. And the uncomfortable question is this: are we watching that pattern unfold again? Let's start with something important. Empires don't die in dramatic explosions. They don't begin with invasion. They don't begin with defeat. They begin with exhaustion. The first sign is overextension. A superpower expands its military commitments across the world. Bases everywhere. Alliances everywhere. Security guarantees everywhere. At first, it looks like strength. But maintaining global dominance is expensive. And eventually, the cost begins to exceed the productive capacity of the economy supporting it. That's when stage 2 begins. Currency strain. Sometimes it's debasement. Sometimes it's inflation. Sometimes it's excessive money creation. The method changes across centuries. The outcome doesn't. When a country stretches beyond its limits, it needs more money than it naturally generates. So it creates it. Or it borrows it. Which brings us to stage 3. The debt spiral. Borrowing feels painless at first. Investors trust the empire. The currency is strong. Interest rates are manageable. But over time, something shifts. More borrowing is required just to maintain the existing system. Debt grows faster than productivity. Interest payments begin competing with essential spending. And suddenly, the empire isn't borrowing to grow. It's borrowing to survive. Stage 4 is less obvious, but more dangerous. Productive decline. When a nation becomes dominant, it often shifts from producing to consuming. It designs. It finances. It imports. Manufacturing moves elsewhere. Supply chains stretch across oceans. Everything works, as long as the currency remains trusted. But if that trust weakens, dependence becomes vulnerability. Stage 5 is social fracture. Economic pressure shows up in everyday life. Institutional trust falls. Political division rises. Citizens feel that the system no longer works for them. The elite remain comfortable. The average person feels squeezed. History shows that once social cohesion breaks down, recovery becomes far more difficult. And here's what makes this pattern so dangerous. Every empire believes it's different. They believe technology will save them. They believe their system is superior. They believe decline happens to other nations. Until it happens to them. The final stages usually involve the erosion of global financial dominance. Allies diversify. Trade shifts. Alternatives emerge. At first, it's subtle. Then it accelerates. And when confidence in the currency falters, the consequences are swift. Currency crisis leads to debt crisis. Debt crisis leads to political crisis. What looks stable for decades can unravel in years. Sometimes even months. History doesn't guarantee that every superpower must collapse. But it does show that ignoring structural weakness never ends well. The real lesson isn't fear. It's awareness. Because decline isn't inevitable, but denial makes it almost certain. The question isn't whether powerful nations face risks. They always do. The question is whether they recognize the warning signs early enough to change direction. History has already written the pattern. The only thing left to decide is whether this time will be different.